Hey guys, it's Marni from the Ask Women podcast. Buying a car is a not so fun experience for most people, and it doesn't have to be. At TrueCar.com, they'll help you get rid of the fear that you may overpay. You know you'll get a fair price because they show you what others paid for the car you're looking for. TrueCar.com analyzes what people are paying for their cars in their market and shares it with consumers so that they never have to overpay. Over 40,000 cars were sold by TrueCar certified dealers just last month. Users see an average savings of $3,046 off MSRP. TrueCar certified dealers go through a certification process, and you work directly with a TrueCar representative that will honor your savings. TrueCar certified dealers believe that truth and transparency are essentials to a better buying experience. First, go to TrueCar.com and find out what others pay for the same vehicle in your market and around the country. Second, register at TrueCar.com to see upfront pricing information and lock in your savings certificate. And the third step is simple. Just print out your certificate and take it to the TrueCar certified dealer for a better hassle-free buying experience. TrueCar has the most comprehensive new car pricing information available and a certified network of dealers that offers a hassle-free car buying experience and negotiation-free guaranteed savings. Support the Ask Women podcast and shop at TrueCar.com.
The following program is a PodcastOne.com production.
PodcastOne.com presents the Ask Women podcast. A place where two comics and a professional wing girl get together to dissect the female mind.
You don't know how I feel.
And explain it to men in terms they can actually understand. Booze. Now, here's the lovely ladies of Ask Women.
Hey everyone, welcome to the Ask Women podcast where you get real advice straight from the source. I'm Kristen Carney, a comedian, host, actress, etc., confused human being. Follow me on Twitter at Kristen Carney. We're also here, of course, with Marni Kinrys, the best-selling author and relationship expert, and the one and only from Chasing Maria on Oxygen, Kevin Undergaro is joining us again.
Yes, because he's amazing. That's why he's joining us again.
Yeah.
And I'm friends with you guys.
Yes, exactly. Well, I want to go quickly into our Wing Girl Minute because that segment has been doing really well and people like it. So here is the Wing Girl Minute, maybe 45 seconds. There is never a bad time to approach a woman. Women want to be approached as long as it's by the right person. There are a million and one reasons you can come up with as to why a woman may not... Oh, there are a million and one reasons.
Today, Julia.
I know, seriously. There are a million and one reasons you can come up with as to why a woman may not be interested in you. She has a boyfriend. You're too short. Not rich enough. She's busy right now. I don't know what to say. I'm bothering her. Tons of excuses. But you will never know for sure until you approach her. The only way to get what you want is by asking for it. So stop making excuses and start approaching. And that is this week's Wing Girl Minute.
All right. Super informative.
I told you this thing on the top of my mouth is stopping me from talking. I have a blister on the top of my mouth. So now I have a lisp and I'm stuttering.
Herpes.
It's not. I popped it once. Oh, it's disgusting. But I don't even want to tell you about this.
I'm talking about.
I know. Exactly.
But before we forget, I just want to say follow us on Twitter. It really helps us communicate with you guys and hear what you want to hear. And we just want to say thanks so much for supporting our sponsors and checking them out.
Yeah.
And really
I'm going to interrupt you for a second because I went on to our iTunes reviews and I told you to never do that because it's just like the worst thing in the entire world.
Yeah.
But I went and I read, and a couple of people had mentioned about how many commercials we have on the show. But the thing is that this is free content, and the commercials are there so that we can keep our shows on the air. So hopefully, you guys can possibly get a better attitude about these commercials and be okay with it so that we can stay on the air and keep
suck it up and quit your whining.
Show.
It's part of the deal when you get shit free.
That is true. That's very, very true. All right. So what are we going to talk about today?
Well, today we really wanted to talk about because I think sometimes people take nice too far.
Yeah.
And so we thought we would talk about that for this week's chapter in The Man's Playbook. Like Kevin's too nice. That's why we're having the chapter. Not. No, I'm kidding.
Maybe I am.
He's too nice to me.
Are you too nice?
I think sometimes it distracts from my own personal business.
Really?
Yes, because you always want to make time for everyone around you, and sometimes that's a little counterproductive.
But do you find that people take advantage of it and walk all over you because of it?
I mean, to a degree, a little bit. I mean, it's just I'm around a lot of younger people, and they need my help. And I've been there before, so I want to help them.
Yeah.
So, I mean, some of it's selfish on my part because I'm obviously enjoying it or I wouldn't be doing it.
Right.
But there is something to be said just about the word nice.
Oh, I had a client the other day, and I've worked with him for a couple of weeks now, and I said to him, you are the sweetest man in the entire world. And he said, no, don't say that. That's the kiss of death. And I was like, no, that's not the kiss of death.
Well, he was interpreting
it's the
that
slap
you
in
weren't
the face of death.
He was interpreting as that you're not attracted to him.
Well, that's the thing. He said, as a man, you never want to hear those statements. You don't want to hear that you're the nicest guy. And I've always said this, that my husband is the nicest man in the entire world. My husband also has a backbone. My husband can stand up to me. My husband can tease me. My husband can challenge me. My husband can be sarcastic and say what's on his mind. So the thing is that a lot of women use the term nice when what they're really trying to say is like grow some balls and talk to me like a man and stop being so wimpy.
Well, I think the whole term nice is often misunderstood, or just it has the wrong label affixed to it. Because I think when you think of nice, like, oh, she's nice or he's nice, on the one hand, there's something positive about that.
Yeah.
But I actually think that the positive connotation is wrong too.
But I think
because decent is what you should be.
Right. Decent is
there's
definitely
a lot of
the
people
correct
who
term.
Are nice, but decent is
because
when you're
decency
honest,
doesn't
right?
have any underlying motive.
Yeah.
When you're decent, it's just selfless. But when you're nice, you don't know if it's coming across because you want something from someone or you want to be liked. I think that's
or
that
can still be
distinguish
nice
the
and be
difference.
disingenuous. Absolutely,
Yeah,
right,
see?
exactly. That's what I'm saying.
Yes.
But when you're decent, you're just a decent person. You're not looking for the approval, or you're not looking to still be a shitty person.
And times where I think in life for people who struggle with being assertive, they say, "Well, I wasn't assertive because I was taught to be nice."
Yeah.
And that's almost the way that they can.
Wait, so are you
suffer
saying
from
that being nice is being fake?
No, not at all. I'm just saying that it's better to aspire toward being decent than it is to aspire toward being nice.
I agree.
Interesting.
I completely agree.
Because I think a lot of people
Art's nodding his head too.
don't stand up to their boss, or they don't stand up to their friends, or they don't assert themselves, and they say, "Well, I'm sorry for being nice." So that is a great way to cop out, and it's a great rationalization.
And
Right.
and you can get, I know from my personal experience, I get bitterness because I say, I'm so nice. Like, why can't people just, show me the same respect back? But when you're just being decent, you're not looking for that.
And another word is kind.
Right.
It's wonderful to be kind.
Okay.
But nice...
But is this just the way that we're interpreting it? Because I just Googled
I'm
definition
just
of
saying,
nice.
it's yes, I think it is a general interpretation.
Right.
And I can see where a guy could hate that, but what I say to a guy is that hates that term, if you hang in the game long enough, you'll find a wife like your husband found you. You will find a girl who's going to be, are you kidding me?
Right.
I'm totally taking this guy. He's awesome. Screw all the rock stars. Because this is the guy I want to be with.
But it is interesting because the other terms that you guys are associating with the term nice is like, that's what's really wrong with being too nice. Am I even making sense with what I'm saying? I'm saying okay, so for a lot of guys, when they do get that statement, "Oh, you're such a nice guy," that's the underlying definition of what the girl is saying to them. She's saying, "Oh, you're too agreeable. You're like not really saying what you want."
You're not nice to yourself.
You're not nice to yourself. It means you're a pushover. Yeah. But the real word "nice" means enjoyable, pleasant, agree. Oh, I agree. Oh, shoot, maybe it is a bad word. I thought it was a nice thing to be a nice person.
No, I think I was taught to
they
think
want a nice man.
It means a sad sap.
I was taught to think that too, but then as I peeled away the layers, I realized, you know what? Kind, decent. I think sweet is wonderful, to a degree.
I think so too.
But when someone says I'm nice, I take it as a great compliment because I am. There is times I get really tough, so I take it as a compliment. But I think if you're a guy and you are getting that, you're a sweet guy or a nice guy. You hang on long enough, you're going to find a great girl who's going to be like, I get it. I get
think
it.
so too.
I get it. This is the guy who's just going to give me an awesome 50 years.
It's a long-term success.
Right, but so what about the guy who's like, I don't want to just be a nice guy. I want to get all girls. I don't want to wait for that one special girl to come along who's like, oh, you're nice. I can see through all of these things.
We're back to going to strip clubs.
That's the alternative for you. But so what is too nice? Like, when are you too nice to the women that you're interacting with?
When you're not looking out for yourself.
Meaning what? What does that mean?
When you're not looking out for your own best interest and you're over catering to, and you're it's a 50-50 thing. You have to meet in the middle. If you're anywhere above 50%, then that's where
You're bending over backwards for somebody that you barely know and not respecting yourself. So I have this exercise in my program, actually in a couple of my programs.
Bending over backwards?
Yes, bending over backwards. It's my new sex program that's out next month. No, but it's called The Insider, and the exercise is called I Want. And it's literally just learning to say the words I want, because those two words are the most uncomfortable words for most people to express what they want. Some people don't even know what they want, and it's
difficult. Can I tell you something?
Yeah.
My first words as a child were I want.
Really?
Mm-hmm. And they have not stopped since.
Really?
And you know what? I'm with you. Hardest words for me to say. You're really onto something. Absolutely.
But they are for so many people. I know that they're difficult for people because it was so difficult for me to say what I wanted and what my opinion was. So the exercise is to start getting comfortable using those two little words. That does not surprise me, actually. So in your life, like people who are listening right now, the exercise I want you to do is for the next week, 5 times per day, I want you to say I want in your workspace, with your friends, with women, with people at the grocery store, wherever you are. I want you to get really comfortable with the term I want. If somebody asks you your opinion on something, don't say, I don't know. Have an opinion. Make up that opinion so that you can start practicing being more assertive and start to develop opinions about things. Because people who just sit on the sidelines, they get ignored very easily. That's where I was when I was younger. Like, I used to be very intimidated of pretty girls when I was younger. So I totally understand where I know, I hated bitches like you. But I understand where all of our guys are coming from and where my clients are coming from, because they freaked me out. Pretty popular girls, I wanted to be them. I wanted them to want me. I wanted to be their best friend. So instead of like actually being me around them, I was this nice, and I'm putting quotations, this nice, sit back and relax, never have a strong opinion type of girl. And it never got me anywhere other than being the friend that they would just drag along to stuff. But I would see how they would interact with other girls, and they had a real friendship with each other, and they had a real attraction towards each other. But for me, I was like the nice girl that was just there to hang out with them. And I wanted to change, which is why,
Okay, so I have so many issues with all of this.
Yes. Let's hear.
But no, your character arc and your journey, as I was telling Kristen last week, we were texting back and forth about last week's show, and I'm glad in 7th and 8th grade you didn't have that. You were nice. I'm glad you went on this journey, because to me, the people that go on this journey end up where you are at now. Successful, young female, beautiful, great husband.
Oh, thanks.
But all those things. But now let's cut back to those girls you were aspiring to be like.
They're all fat
and
ugly
I guarantee you, if they're not fat and ugly, they're divorced, they're on Facebook, they're cheating, all those other things. I'm saying in general, not everybody.
Yeah.
But so I feel like if the girls and the guys listening to this show are of your age group, be all in on this. But don't be down on yourself from the past. And also, if you're younger, know that this is just part of the journey.
Right.
The nicest people in the world are the ones who come up that way, because they're formed in that way. A lot of people that just everything goes great for them. I see it with child stars. Oh, my goodness, they're awful people, But it's when you're so overindulged all those years, or you're not nice, you were bratty, you were pushy, you were this, you were that. They're not the people I want to be around today.
I would say that that's true. So for guys who are listening, the balance between being the nice, and I'm putting the quotations, and the assertive man is really just like having a strong backbone while still being a kind, genuine, decent person. Am I correct?
Okay,
yes.
Let me give you the formula.
Okay.
For guys, 6 days a week. So if whoever you're dating, whatever, you give them their way. You open doors, you do all that stuff, you be a total gentleman. Right. And I'll tell you, on the 7th day, when that 1 out of 7 things, it's probably more like 1 out of 15 things.
Right.
But let's just say 1 out of 7 things is super important to you. That's where you draw a line and say, no.
Yeah. What about guys who are not dating?
So guys who are not dating, I think it's still the same thing. I think when you're dating someone, I think it takes more courage to open the door and do all those things and to keep all that stuff going. I think it takes more courage to do that. It's easier to play hard to get, be aloof. That's what they teach you to do, and I know in the short run a lot of girls are attracted to that, but I know for my life it all changed when I embraced the former, which was to be
being nice,
to be a gentleman, to being decent, to being kind, to being considerate of the person I was with. And that's when I ended up with my partner.
Yeah. Well, I think that so the balance for guys who are single who are listening to the show, because that's the majority of the audience that are listening. It's I'm going to give you an example from one of my friends, Bobby Rio, from his book, where he talks about having a conversation with a woman. There's a nice way to have a conversation, and then there's an interesting, fun, and flirtatious way that still is kind way of having a conversation with a woman. So if she's talking to you about her ex-boyfriend or something, and you listen to her and you start saying, oh, that's so horrible, and you start sharing stories and blah, blah, and like you're not really taking that conversation to the next level, that's a nice conversation that really isn't going to attract her, and she'll walk away thinking, that was a nice guy. The flip side of that is that you can say to her, you know what, if you keep talking to me like this, I'm going to have to charge you $150 an hour. You tease her, you poke her in the side, and then you say, come on, let's go do something. So you're still being a nice guy, you're being kind, you're not being an asshole, but you're showing that there's more to you and that you're not going to sit there and listen to her cry about her ex-boyfriend, and you know how to make it fun and interesting and take her away from that place of being sappy.
Comedy always works.
Exactly. So, exercise for this week, people who are listening, is injecting the term, or the two words, I want, into your vocabulary 5 times a day, with friends, with family, with girls, with people that you walk by on the street.
Start on your parents. You might get some money or something.
Exactly. Start putting it into your vocabulary. And I think that wraps up this week's chapter in the Man's Playbook.
Love it. Well, we're usually not this concise.
I know. What's happening, Kevin? You're making us like so on target. We got segments and shit.
All right.
But we have
Tinderella stories. All right, let's get into it.
Oh, good.
Okay, so this is from a woman that she tried Tinder once, and I really like her experience. So she said, as soon as I got my first message, it was asking me if I was DTF, which, if you don't know, means down to F, before even saying hello. I stopped being interested in dating and launched into a soliloquy about the sad state of young people in America, which I completely admire because that's what I would have done. But when I got a message from David asking me if I wanted to go to Walmart, I was amused, and I was amused enough to reply, okay, how about Tuesday? So on Tuesday, my coworker mentioned that she received the exact same message from the exact same guy. So naturally, I made her come with me to Walmart. So we surprised David at Walmart with a 2-for-1 deal. We also invited him to balance the ratio, so we brought another guy. David was totally cool about the surprise. He's new to town and was psyched to meet new folks in any capacity. So it wasn't really a romantic connection. But David and I started chatting, the guy that she brought. So a few days after my date, I received a message from another potential date. His name was Jason, with a poem. And I thought, okay, this could be cute. And this was the day I shut off Tinder. He wrote to me, roses are red, violets are blue. I think you're pretty. Will you please sit on my face?
That's hilarious.
Yeah. So she didn't have a great experience. So that's a nightmare Tinderella story. So
she quit?
That was last time she used it.
Why? She didn't give up.
Why? I think you have
freaking hilarious.
3 good reasons.
What?
One was invited to Walmart.
Right.
2, she was invited to sit on someone's face, which I don't know what's worse, Walmart or being invited to sit on someone's face.
Well, it depends who you are.
And 3, DTF. That's a Jersey Shore term. Those are 3 strikes.
It's 3 people who are not taking it serious.
Right.
Serious. So maybe that's what's on there.
Right. And I think that's from now reading all through these stories. I think that's the common denominator is that people are on there because it's popular and they're just kidding around. Right. No one's really, on their like Match.com putting information out there and trying to find.
I think that listen. I don't think it works for guys and for heteros. I think for in the gay culture it works.
Just people who want to get hetero.
Because I'm a guy, I'm a dude. I've got my other dude. We're both on the same page. We are both DTF more than likely because we're dudes.
Right.
And it works.
Right.
The whole courtship game between a guy and a girl, that technology doesn't work. It needs to be J-date match where you really can get to know. It just doesn't work.
But you should change the name of from like courtship to courtshit.
Yeah,
that's just what it's becoming. Yeah. Just like a shit show.
Do you think so? Like, do you think in general the dating world is just like messed up right now?
I personally, just from the information that I've gotten from being on this podcast.
Right. You're like, everybody's fucked?
Yeah, because I never really knew much about the dating world because I've been in a relationship for 6 years. Right. And all of a sudden I'm hearing about all these stories and seeing what people's experiences are. And it just seems like a circus that's like a fucked up circus in your dream. You know, it's not like the cute circus that you're like,
The thing is,
cute.
but that's
It's
like,
the
that's
scary
like the
clown.
news. Like, you don't see good stories on the news. Maybe once in a while you see like a good story on the
so
news.
you're going to hear about the messed up ones.
Yeah.
But I also know, I feel like more people have a shot, especially older people that didn't have a shot before. You
I
know,
think so,
if
too.
you
Yeah,
didn't meet
that's
your, I think back in the day, if you didn't meet your suitor in college or high school, or maybe in your first job, you were done.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think now I've seen more people get second chances at love.
Well, what are your single friends doing for dating? Where are they going to meet women and men?
You know, I'm around so many people who are so driven with success that it's such a small part of their lives.
Really?
They're meeting if they're meeting anyone, they're meeting them at work, and they're focused on their success.
Careers. You know, it's really interesting. I talked about it, I think, last week as well, when I was watching Vice, that special about Japan and how their sex culture is totally different than us. Like, their sex culture is, I'm going to totally screw this up, but they have all of these toys that help people not need
They're all
other human
specifically
beings.
Hello Kitty toys.
And anime toys. It's great. I'm not like that's
No,
not
I know,
that's not even a
literally,
joke.
yeah.
But like, so that they don't need other individuals to please them
I
sexually.
love that.
That it's like a whole industry. It's crazy, but they're not really getting into relationships. Like, people, men and women who are in their 20s and 30s are saying, like, why would I want a boyfriend? Why would I want a girlfriend? That's just going to distract me from my career and having fun. And I asked my sister.
And nobody gets hurt that way.
Exactly.
I love that.
But it's great because they don't need it as much. And, you know,
It's just because there's too much smell of fish in the air. They're like,
They're
I'm not
"Nah,
really turned on right now.
Don't need it. But my middle sister always gets on my youngest sister because she met her partner when she was 23 years old. And my youngest sister is 26. And she's like, Nikki, you have to get on JDate. You have to get on online dating. Like, you're so far behind, when my sister Nikki is having the time of her life. Like, she has way more fun than me and my other sister combined. Like, every weekend she's doing something fun and interesting and exciting with her group of friends who are all single. And she's 26, so she's so young. So I asked her, you know, is it a big priority for you guys to be in a relationship? And she's like, no, why would it be a priority? She's like, I'm enjoying my life and having a blast. And she's going out and interacting with people and having sex and having fun and like having a really good time. But she said relationships just take you away from that, which I thought was a really interesting point of view that I wish I had when I was younger.
Yeah, they take you away from that and they get you closer to couches.
Yes, very close.
Which
to
for me
couches.
is desirable. It just depends on, like, when I was 23, I had no desire to be out having fun. I really didn't. I
still don't now.
Yeah.
I don't want to do anything fun.
So it just depends on your priorities. But we have Adam Lyons coming up in the second half of the show.
Lyons, yes.
Adam Lyons.
But he's been on our show before. He was on our expert panel, and he is amazing and awesome. He's a good friend of mine.
He's got a British accent.
He's British, so he's super sexy.
Which means we respect him and listen to him.
Of course.
Exactly.
I mean, he's very close to the queen.
He's always smarter than us when he's got an accent. Like that.
Exactly, and he'll tell you that 5 times. I'm just joking. He won't. But he's awesome, and he used to work for a huge pickup artist company. Although he's like the furthest thing from a pickup artist, but he has worked with thousands of men all over the world to help them increase their confidence, get girls. And we're going to talk to him about flirting and going out to bars and how to pick up women when we get back.
Holla.
Podcast One presents the Robin Anton Podcast.
Hey there, this is Robin Anton here on Podcast One. Check it out. I have some great guests. Pamela Anderson was recently in here, and Christina Applegate.
This is Christina Applegate and the Robin Anton Podcast.
Everything from dance, fitness, girl talk. You guys will love it. It's the Robin Anton Podcast. Find it at podcastone.com. That's podcastone.com.
The Robin Anton Podcast. New episodes every Tuesday at podcastone.com. You're listening to the Ask Women Podcast, a Podcast One presentation.
Tell more about this. Sorry, we're like chatting off air as well, but Adam's saying really interesting things that we definitely should be saying on air. so we quickly hurried.
They're
to
so
get
interesting
on air.
that my brain can't process them,
I know.
actually. You
Well,
just said we have something. What was it called?
No, but he well, I'm spinning everywhere now. He was just saying that for fun, he's studying biochemistry.
Yeah. So basically,
Sounds fun.
It really is.
Tons of fun.
It's amazing.
Throw your panties, fun.
Okay, maybe not. So essentially, there is a chemical in the brain that's the equivalent of like the Higgs boson for love.
What's Higgs boson?
So the Higgs boson is sort of like the they call it like the God particle. It's why they developed the Hadron Collider. It was so they could find like the original Big Bang particle, the one that creates everything.
Okay.
And so scientists found this, but there are other scientists that specialize in the chemistry of the brain that have found the equivalent for love that we create and produce in our own brain, which is essentially oxytocin. And this one chemical is okay. So essentially, when somebody gives birth, they will have a complete flooding of this chemical in their brain, which forms a bond between them and their child. When a man is in love with somebody and having sex with them, his body completely floods himself with oxytocin.
Oh, I was going to say it should shut down.
Well, it only is triggered.
Like it's not, they don't feel those feelings when they have sex with someone.
What's funny is they only feel it when they're in love with the person. So if a man has sex with a random girl that he doesn't really care about, no oxytocin. But when he has sex with someone he's in love with, the body gets flooded with it.
Interesting.
Really?
And so, I've become completely fascinated by this chemical and the different aspects and ways it
Love
can be
potion
used.
number 9. Is it
Seriously, that's exactly what it is.
That is exactly what it is. In fact, people have started using it to encourage introverts and those that have social disorders to actually come out and be more social. And they've found it works really well. If
I
they
call that
increase the
ecstasy, by the
oxytocin.
way.
Yeah, seriously. Wait, well, go more
Should've had
into
that at
that.
23.
Because the thing is, before we get into who you are and why you know what you're talking about, because you're not a scientist, obviously.
No.
But something even more interesting than a scientist. But go back to that because there's a lot of people who listen to this show who may not understand the difference between being an introvert and being shy. So I would love for you to maybe break that down
And being self-loathing.
explain it and
Break down the 3.
No, but then explain what you're talking about, like giving oxytocin to people who are introverts.
For sure. So I suppose the way to look at it is somebody who's introverted is just internally they don't really have a desire to want to go out and be social. Not that they don't like socializing, they just don't want to go out and meet new people. They get very comfortable being in their own environment, and they don't really like being outside of it. Introverts, their worst partner they could ever be with is someone that's like, hey, we should just go out and meet new people. They're like, no, that I don't want to do that. Or why don't we try something new? No, introverts.
No, that's what I do to my husband all the time. He's like, no,
yeah,
he
exactly.
hates it.
Yeah, an introvert would never want to do that kind of
Right.
thing. Whereas somebody who's shy might actually have a desire to go out and do these things, but be afraid of negative consequences
Right.
happening to them, so that prevents them from doing it. And people that are shy will often be conflicted because they want to go out and do these things, but they don't think they can. Whereas an introvert genuinely doesn't want to go
I
out
love
and do
that we're
them.
getting so much great information from a man dressed in all white. Literally my mind is blown.
He's a doctor. That's why he's wearing all white.
I'm really interested in
White
this
linen.
as well. Can you be shy and introverted?
Right, I think
Can you
I
be
am.
both?
Yes, of course.
totally.
But a lot of people confuse being introverted with being shy. So shy is a habit you can actually alter. Being an introvert is a personality trait. So it's the way that you are naturally, like how it's built into you. Doesn't mean that you can't be a social person. You're shy. You have difficulty talking to people. This is how I always look at introversion versus extroversion. It's the way that you actually get recharged. An extrovert gets recharged by being around other people. So they get their energy
I get
source.
drained.
Right, you get drained.
I'd rather be
That's being an introvert. And there's
yeah.
always people who are on the cusp as well. There's different variances of it.
I have a really weird mix because I crave attention and I crave connection, but I don't want to do it. So it's weird. I have this kind of it's like hot air and cold air colliding.
No, but
and then
that's
there's
what
a
Adam was just
thunderstorm.
talking about. It's like you make these excuses as to why you cannot.
Like it takes me too much mental
So
energy
you're
to be
shy.
social.
So she's shy, right? According to Adam, according to your definition.
So actually, what you probably
But like it
find is-
physically makes me very, when I think about having to go out to be social, it makes me very almost angry.
Okay, so
but yet I
let's-
want to.
This is why I've been so into the chemistry right now.
Yeah.
So it actually goes beyond shy and introversion. What you're describing.
Self-loathing. This is where we get to the self-loathing.
Okay, so let's start looking at the different chemicals in the brain. So essentially, one of the key chemicals, the one that you're describing, is cortisol. Cortisol is like the punishment chemical. Whenever we feel bad, it's because our body is being flooded with cortisol. So the idea of going
Like
out
feeling it right
and
now.
meeting people, the idea of having to do that is flooding you with cortisol. For whatever reason, you have made an association with the effort of going out and meeting people as being a negative thing. And your body's like, you know what? You don't want to do this. So here's some cortisol.
I was bullied in high school.
There you go.
Is that why?
That would be a reason. And there's probably a whole bunch of others. But essentially, your body has told you going out and doing that isn't something that's good. So you're going to get flooded with cortisol. However, whenever you do something that triggers one of the chemicals that make us feel good, you're going to get a benefit, and your body will lust after those chemicals. So, for example, the act of going out and socializing is actually one of the things that can produce oxytocin, which is the chemical we were talking about earlier. So your body has a desire for oxytocin, but
Oxycontin.
Okay. So your body's got this desire to go out and get it, but on the other hand, the idea of going out and socializing is triggering cortisol. So what your body is saying is, hey, we've got this craving for this thing, but getting it is really bad. The only way that I could equate that would be if you really, really like ice cream, but also you're
lactose
tired.
intolerant.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
So, you've got
So
that
how
same
do you
thing
how do you eliminate that or
Take
adjust
drugs
it?
to help the lactose.
Sure. Yeah, that's drugs is.
Well, like, no, honestly, like a anxiety drug or
Well, that would be one of the reasons I'm interested in oxytocin, because actually you could take oxytocin as a way to stimulate the idea of going out to inhibit the cortisol. But there are other ways of doing it. You can train yourself. There's actually there's a really good book on this called My Happy Chemicals. I think that's what it's called. It's Meet Your Happy Chemicals. It's a really good book, and it actually talks about it takes 45 days.
you're like, well, I'm not really good at meeting new people, so
Right, well, actually, the idea is
need to
that
come.
for 45 days, if you force yourself to do something, you can actually change your body's desire to release that cortisol. But it's 45 days of hell.
Right.
Because on day 44, it will feel as bad as day 1. It's
Right.
only day 45 that the brain's like, you know what? Releasing cortisol is kind of a waste at this point because she's obviously going to keep going out and socializing. So let's stop producing cortisol. on this
And what
factor.
is this book?
Yeah, it's called Meet Your Happy Chemicals.
Yes, and you can get it through our Amazon page, winggirlmethod.com/Amazon. Go pick it up there. But that's really interesting. Okay, so basically you have to be present in retraining yourself, and really, so you can easily take a magic pill like
Yeah, for sure.
oxytocin if you want to. That could maybe have possible other negative side effects, maybe lowering your natural ability to gain oxytocin. I don't know what the long-term effects are.
That actually is one of the side effects.
Yeah.
Also, it can trigger jealousy.
Oh,
Because
really?
It makes you want to be social, and when somebody else is beating you, it makes you competitive to want to socialize
yeah,
better
like
than they are.
when I see
Okay.
other people's Instagrams and they're out having fun, and I don't want to go out and have fun, but I see they're having fun, I'm like, oh, screw you, you
get it.
suck, you're the
That-
worst.
That's-
You completely understand it. And I'm
That's-
sure people who are listening do
I'm
as
like,
well.
unfollow.
That's
But
it.
so, can you give an exercise to people who are listening for this 45-day challenge? Like, how do they start with this 45-day challenge?
So I would probably start off by setting a regular routine of something you're going to do that's really simple and doesn't take up too much time. So, for example, the one that I teach people is go to Starbucks, and in the Starbucks, make it a mission to make friends with the barista. Know their name, know something about them beyond the fact that they just serve you coffees. And every single time you go and meet your barista, you also have to meet one other person who's in line.
Okay.
And that's it. So once a day.
I know, you're giving her a
My
heart attack.
palms sweat.
Well, yeah. So if you think about like a lot of people, Starbucks is like their guilty pleasure. It's like, oh, you know, if I'm going to save money, I should just stop eating Starbucks. But I really enjoy it. The way I look at it this way is now your Starbucks habit is funding your change in social desire.
Absolutely.
For 5 minutes of exercise a day to get your coffee, the punishment or the additional cost of purchasing that coffee is also you have to meet one
Do you
person
start
and
getting
bond
a
with one.
bad association with coffee, though? Something that you really like?
People are like, okay, I'm
What
done
I'm
with
hearing-
caffeine.
What I'm hearing is
It's
you
like
can
a
be happy
Pavlov.
for as little as $5 a day.
Exactly. For the price of a cup of
just
coffee,
$5
you
a
could
day.
have happiness. Like, literally, that's the best sales pitch ever.
Yeah, no, that's 100% how it is. So you bring up a good point, but because what you're essentially doing here is
like
classical
Pavlov's
conditioning.
dogs.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So the key is you're trying to force the conditioning to go the way you want it to, which is coffee makes me social. The craving for caffeine is one that also is now attached to a craving for socializing.
You know what makes that hard, though, is that people are going to be doing this without having their caffeine yet. And it's like,
Right.
you know, those shirts like, don't talk to me until I've had my coffee or whatever. It's literally like, take your sip of coffee and then meet the people in line.
And then you could, so technically,
But you could.
Yeah, you could get your coffee first, and then just make sure you drink it in the Starbucks and meet somebody new
Yeah.
every day.
Yeah.
And again, you know, you got to anticipate 44 days are going to be horrible. Day 45 is going to be great.
I anticipate 1,000 days are going to be
The
horrible.
thing is,
so we're set. That's fine.
I would say it doesn't even get till day 44.
Small
Because
commitment.
that's very similar to the exercises that I gave myself when I was trying to get over my approach anxiety. Because I used to feel the exact same way as you. And what I did, I was in New Zealand at the time, and I gave myself the challenge to go go out in public.
Nicer to approach, though. They're New Zealanders.
What? They have weird accents, and I don't know.
Friendliest people on the planet.
But
right.
for
Next to the Mormons.
Not super tough.
They were just people who I had a complete fear of, like strangers. They weren't even hot people who I wanted something from. They were just strangers on the street. I gave myself the assignment to go out and approach 10 people every single day. The first time took me 2 hours to do that assignment because it was so I'm sweating right now in this room, but like the amount that I was sweating and like how fast my heart was beating was just ridiculous. But slowly over time and over the course of a week, it became easier and easier and easier to do. So sometimes it doesn't even take 45 days to complete this challenge. It can happen a lot faster depending on who you are and what you're unlocking and what beliefs you actually hold.
100%. And the reason for that is when you get that happy chemical, it's essentially combating the negative one. So the cortisol is being replaced by whatever the other chemical is that makes you feel good about yourself. In the same way that endorphins are released to overcome pain. So it's exactly the same thing. And this is basically what I've spent the last month studying and reading and learning about because I'm a nerd, not a scientist.
But I love that you're a nerd. Yeah. But tell people what you have spent the past 15 years studying. Because when I first met you, it was at the PUA Summit, so Pickup Artist Summit. But I think you had won Best Pickup Artist for that
best
year
pickup
or something?
I was voted Best Pickup Artist in the world 3 years in a row.
Wow, that's pretty awesome.
So, it was fun. It was a cool. I'd never been in the world of anything before.
I mean, that's who cares? Yeah, anything that's in the world.
Right.
Yeah, exactly.
Right.
That was cool.
If I got shittiest person in the world, I'd be like,
in the world.
Out of everybody, I'm the worst.
Yeah,
but
so
tell people what that means, because people may have a negative association with pickup artists.
There were a lot of people that did. Essentially, it started with I was incredibly terrible with girls. It wasn't I couldn't get a girlfriend, and I think a lot of guys do this thing. I could never get a girlfriend, and no, I got girlfriends. It's just they were short, frumpy, and they weren't particularly attractive.
Not the ones you wanted.
Yeah, they weren't the ones that I wanted, and I didn't feel like I was doing great to be with them. And the worst thing is they would cheat on me, and they would would leave me.
And you're so cute.
I wasn't.
That's the thing. So like for guys who are listening, like it's not about looks. It's like Adam's a very good looking man.
Thanks. I appreciate it. But yeah,
and he has a British accent,
right?
So you've already.
He was in England.
Boo!
So they were like dime a dozen.
Yeah. So, but it's like so I was like this 6 foot tall, slim white guy, and people just weren't really interested. I started gaining weight. I had this thing where I'd eat a Krispy Kreme donut every day to make myself feel better, which I now know why that was happening because I was essentially trying to
cortisol.
Yeah, exactly. I was trying to remove the cortisol with dopamine, which a lot of people do. Which is
I have to get this book.
It's great. I was craving.
Really?
It's very interesting.
It sounds amazing.
Yeah, and there's a few other books that sort of cover this. So you need a bunch of them, but that one book's a really good intro to it. And so I was using dopamine instead of oxytocin to get rid of the cortisol, which wasn't actually doing what I needed. Anyway, long story short, I woke up one day and my girlfriend was cheating on me, and I stayed with her because I didn't have another girlfriend.
Right.
She wasn't having sex with me; she was having sex with some other guy, and I was like paying for everything.
Sure.
And so then she broke up with me.
I kind of want to date you right now.
Right? Yeah, it's a great guy. She broke up with me and she stole my PC. She stole everything from my house. I had nothing.
She's trying to help you. You got to get into the Mac world. So
yeah, she's
yeah.
So go with Apple. Yeah. And so I was sitting indoors and I decided that rather than blame her, I'd blame myself. It's like one of my friends said.
It's always a big turning point.
It's a huge turning point.
Yeah,
any part of problem in your life, anytime you bottom out, I don't care who's doing it to. That's it.
Yeah, and it was like all my friends had always said, it's them. And I was like, man, when something happens to you over and over again, there's a point where you have to look at yourself and say, is it me? Am I the person?
Yep. And
so I said, okay, it's me. I'm going to fix this. So I went out and I bought Neil Strauss's The Game. Neil Strauss, great guy. Become a very good friend of mine, which is awesome because he's really intelligent and knows his stuff.
That's amazing.
Yeah, I got halfway through the book. And literally halfway through the book, I was like, forget this, no more reading, I'm going to do it. So I signed up on a boot camp, and it was...
With Neil Strauss?
No, not with Neil, with some local guys.
Okay.
And I remember I went to this Chinese restaurant to pay the guy a week in advance, and he was just sitting down eating noodles.
That sounds a little...
It was so sketchy. Yeah, I gave him £1,000 in cash, and then he was just like, here's the address, and handed me a piece of paper, and then that was it. And so, so then I signed up on the boot camp. It was the worst experience of my life. There was like... looking back, it was some of the worst things you could teach somebody. It was gimmicky and
pickup artisty.
Really pickup artisty.
Exactly.
I mean, we had like oversized glasses and big fireman hats. The first line I was taught was wear this fireman's hat, go up to a girl and go, "Is there a fire in here?"
Oh, God. What? With an American accent? That's what they told you to do?
With an American accent, because Americans taught this primarily, and the English guys had copied it.
Oh my God.
So yeah.
I know. By the way, I don't want to say Kristen. I know so many people in the acting business and who teach these classes who are just as bad teachers with the worst exercise.
Oh,
Yes,
yeah.
horrible.
And they're taking tons of money from people.
Oh, yeah.
Because people don't know any better.
No, they're so desperate for knowledge. But I just admire you so much for going through this. I mean,
Thanks. It was tough. They told me to. My favorite one is I talk about this all the time. They got me to say I'm the kissing bandit, and so it's like stand in front of girls trying to walk through in a mall, an outdoor mall. And
It's causing you anxiety.
I had to jump in front of the girl.
It's making me sad.
It was horrible. And I'd be like, I'm the kissing bandit. You got to kiss me if you want to get fired.
stop! It's making me.
It was bad. And they said to me, I was like, is that really going to work? And they were like,
I'm the fool
They're
bandit.
like, yes,
They were like,
I've done it
yes.
10 times and it works every time.
It didn't work once.
Yeah, of course it didn't.
I
It
was
was
so
stupid.
embarrassed. It was the most horrible thing. But what happened was I was motivated. I got over my fear. I was like, wow, I can talk to people. No one got mad at me over this. Everyone was just like, whatever. And I was like, I can take whatevers. Like, whatevers are fine. And then there was this one girl, and this was the turning point. She was standing outside of a nightclub, and she was just like resting. She was super cute. And it turns out she was one of the go-go dancers. And every single student went and hit on her and failed. Everyone, one after the other. They were all using these lame lines. And I was like, I'm going to use my own brain. I'm not going
Did
to...
she know that this was like a setup? That
No,
people
she
were
just
supposed to
was
pick her
like,
up?
why are 10 guys hitting on
Right,
one after the
okay,
other?
yeah.
And so I went up to her, and I was like...
self-esteem.
Yeah, and I was like, it's kind of a bit of a dick, but I was like, you know what, I just saw those 9 douchebags just come up and hit on you. Like, what is this all about? And she's like, I don't know. And I was like, there's some creepy guys in the world, huh? And she's like, yeah. And so I bonded with her on this point, basically building rapport. And now that I know what that is, I didn't at the time. And she was all over me. And she gave me her phone number. And all of the instructors came up to me and said, how did you do that?
The instructor.
You're like, sign up for my course next week and I'll tell you.
Anything that you just told me to.
And at that point, I was like, wow, they don't understand. So at this point, I was like, wait, I studied psychology. I've been in public relations for years. I wonder if everything I know about negotiating and dealing with people could be used for this. Got back out all my books and started reading hardcore. What is interpersonal attraction? How does it work? What triggers attraction? And I became completely nerdy about it. And I started going out and doing it, and people realized I was getting success. And actually, FHM got wind of it through a friend of a friend of a friend.
What's FHM?
It's like Maxim magazine.
Yeah, big
Yeah, but
magazine
in
for a while.
Oh.
Yeah, For Him magazine. And it was a huge thing. And they did a 5-page spread on me.
Wow.
And the quote, I'm never going to forget it. The quote was, you can think what you like about Adam, but whether you like it or not, he's wading it in more than either you or I. And I was like, wow, that was a great booster. And everyone wanted to learn from me. And I was like, there's no way on this planet I'm going to teach people this. This is for me, no one else. And I became...
Yeah, you just like figured out a secret drug.
Yeah,
that
and it's like, and the teachers don't know how to do it the way I do it. And I've since learned there are teachers that do know how to do it, but back then the teachers I had access to couldn't. And so I disappeared, and I gave myself this name, which was AFC Adam, which of course Marni will know. AFC stands for Average Frustrated Chump. And I gave myself that name to stop people wanting to learn from me so that I could concentrate and improve my skills even further. And it took about a year before people were like, wait a minute. He is good.
Same guy.
Yeah, it's the same guy. He's actually good. And at that point, people started coming up to me. And I remember saying, I don't want to teach you. I don't want to teach you. And
I think I have AFC in front of my name, but I don't even know it. I'm like, why isn't anyone coming around? Yeah.
I think most people would do. It's tough. It's difficult. And I teach girls as well now because there are so many women that are like, wow, I want to be able to socialize. You know, they don't want to go and pick people up, but they want to socialize. And so it was this this crazy experience where people would come up to me and be like, I want to learn from you. At this point, I was turning up to nightclubs with 30 to 40 girls, and I was sleeping with. I had a very hedonistic lifestyle for a while, and life was great
For a while.
for a while, for a good few years. And people would come up to me and be like, "I want to learn from you. I want to learn this skill." And I was like, "No way!" And then this really rich guy just stuck £1,000 in my pocket, and he's like, "That's for tonight." And I was like, oh, okay, I'll teach you. and it started from there. I remember my dad being like, you got to get a real job. You just go out clubbing every day with all these women. You're never going to amount to anything in life.
Making more than you.
Yeah, and I literally stuck $3,000 in front of him, and he goes, well, that's just a little bit of money. You need regular income. And I pulled out another $3,000, and my dad was like,
Wait, what do you do? You are a drug dealer.
yeah, no, right? I actually am a drug dealer. And my dad's like, where is this money coming from? I was like, Dad, I'm getting paid to teach people this. He goes, well, how? And then I just proceeded to pull out the money that I'd been saving, and I had my dad's year wage, and I'd made it in a month. And my dad's he was a janitor, and he was just like, he goes, wow, he goes, that's more money than I see in a year, and you made that in a month. I was like, yeah. And he goes, you know what, son, I'm proud of you.
It's like, keep doing it.
Yeah, keep doing this.
Keep going.
That was like my parents when I started the Wing Girl company. I called them and I said, yeah, what I do is I pick up women for men. And they were like, ooh, that's kind of weird, that's shady. And then I called them and said, I'm going to be in the LA Times. They're like, oh, you have a business.
Yeah.
That's really interesting.
Yeah.
And I was like, okay, well, now you're on board.
I'm going to be in the LA Times because I was murdered. It's like what they would assume.
Yeah.
Oh, I want to have you back on the show because I want to ask a couple of analyze this questions, and but I want to talk more more. I'm like,
It's very
I'm sort of
interesting.
torn right now.
I literally live around the corner whenever you guys want me.
Okay, well, you're going to come back on again because I want to talk more about this, and I want to talk about attraction and flirting, and I want you to give people advice and tips.
Sure.
But what I'd like to do now is answer a couple of questions
Let's do
from
it.
our awesome fans. So people who want to write in questions, write in to ask@askwomenpodcast.com. Okay. Hey, ladies, my girlfriend wants me to be more dominant when it comes to sex. Not kinky or anything, but just to scoop her up when I want and just be assertive about the whole thing. This really
So
goes
it's like
against...
a mild rape? So,
Yes,
okay.
that's what every woman
Yeah,
wants.
totally, right, of
Exactly.
course.
This really goes against my personality because I'm very passive. It's so funny how they all sort of go hand in hand with what our discussion is. Maybe our
Yeah.
discussion is always the same at the beginning, but I never want her to feel uncomfortable, so I don't want to have sex with her when she's not necessarily feeling it. So is there some way I can ease into being more dominant? Just go for it, or continue to be myself and just let things happen as they come. Thanks. Skylar, I like that name, from Delaware.
Yeah, I like the name Skylar.
So this is my secret personal confession.
What?
I suffer from something. And
Wimpiness in the bedroom?
No, I suffer from sexomnia. And
What's that?
it's
What?
Sexomnia.
You can't sleep
I have sex in my sleep without knowing it. And
with people?
I do too.
yeah.
Wait, what?
What?
Oh no, I have it in my dreams.
No. If I sleep in
physically
a bed
do
next
it.
to somebody, I'll have sex with them, no matter who the person is. To the point that I can't let guys
You can't sleep with
My
your brother.
husband
Yeah,
said
I'm
that
like, hey,
once.
guys,
Hold
can't
on, is that gender like specific, or does it go either way?
In my dream, it doesn't matter. I will. If there's somebody next to me, I'm going to grab them and try and have sex.
He's
with
gonna
them.
hump them. No, my husband.
Okay,
did
wait,
that to
you're
me
hiding
once.
behind this. You do it intentionally.
Wait,
He's
wait,
like,
wait,
I'm so
Yeah.
groggy.
Now,
Yeah, it's just sleeping.
This is one of the things I was saying. This has become one of my best teaching aids because I've realized that whenever I do that, girls never say no. Never. They
No.
always just
Well,
go
they're
along
also
with it
sleeping.
because they're also sleeping and they wake up in the middle of sex
'cause
and
they're
they'll be like,
It's like
in a movie.
necrophilia.
Like in what is it? Like Pretty Woman or something. I feel like that happens in that movie. But my husband
yeah,
did this
yeah,
to me.
yeah.
Okay, when we first started dating, because he wasn't so dominant in the bedroom in the very beginning. And one night, in the middle of the night, he just started going down on me, and I was like, "Oh my god, this is the best thing ever!" And like usually I would be uncomfortable and like a little bit scared, but I was like, "Okay, like just go with it. I love this. I think it's absolutely amazing." And I was so in love with him the next day.
and this is it. So in this weird dreamscape, anything can happen. And so I've started teaching
Like
guys,
murder.
like hopefully
Like
not, but-
strangulation during
like sex murder.
that can sometimes happen. No. So what happens is I found that every girl that I've ever been with like this is like that, and I actually use myself often as like a resource for psychological studying because of the amount of women I've been with now. Like it's like I've done it X amount of hundreds of times, and if they're all totally okay with it, then it's pretty fair to assume that based on that trial method, most people are going to be okay
Yeah.
with it. And so I've started teaching students that you can feign a version of sexomnia. Don't pretend that you've got the disorder because it is a very serious disorder, and
I'm sure.
it's
There's
tough,
commercials
right?
about it.
It's
now.
tough, yeah. I'm sure there is.
Yeah.
And if you have sexomnia, you don't want it treated, but
Right.
But what you can do is
Once
you
it
can
comes
use
with an
that.
STD.
Right,
Oh,
exactly.
God, that would be horrible. Yeah, so you want to build this dominant persona very slowly, and the easy way of doing it is at night. And I would suggest the way to do it is while she's sleeping next to you, sort of like you want to get a gentle alarm clock to wake yourself up. Now, there's a lot of ways that you can force yourself to wake up in the middle of the night. If that is too much of a problem and you don't know how to do that or make that happen, there's two ways you can go about doing it. One, you can just stay awake longer than her, which would be a way of doing it. However, you kind of want to let her have a full sleep cycle, and I'll explain why. It essentially takes about 4 hours for people to have a regular sleep cycle, and she'll only be rested after that first sleep cycle. If you wake her up within the first 4 hours, she's actually going to have quite a disturbed
Agitated.
sleep and be agitated.
Yeah.
Like,
So,
fuck you. Why do you wake me up?
right, so there's a number of ways to make yourself wake up. Good news is most guys tend to wake up in the middle of the night to go and pee. And so you can use that after peeing, make sure you clean yourself and you can come back, and she's asleep. And rather than just rolling over and going back to sleep, snuggle up next to her, put your arm around her and whisper in her
I'm
ear.
going to say put your penis in her hand.
Put your penis there. Yeah, put your arm around her and whisper in her ear how beautiful she is and how much you love her. And what will happen is it will slowly, just this gentle cooing in her ear will slowly start to wake her up. Not too much, just a little bit. And then the way I always do it is I take my hand, I place it between her legs and keep going right through until my hand is actually on her stomach. So almost like her crutch is rested on the inside of my elbow. And then I will, in one motion, just swoop her backwards. So now I've got her in the position where she's almost like bent forward. So it would be like doggy style, except we're lying down next to each other.
Right.
From that position, with my elbow and my arm in between her legs, there's usually just enough friction on her clitoris and on her vulva to get her turned on, and she'll start to get wet. And I can tell this because once I slide my hand back between her legs from her stomach, and I can test for wetness. And if I see that she's wet and I see that she hasn't snapped at me like, "Oh my God, why did you wake me up?" or whatever, if I'm not getting any of that, then at that point, I'll just whip it out and stick it inside her. And I found that is one of the easiest ways to start off being dominant.
How uncomfortable is Kristen?
I'm uncomfortable.
She's like, I don't know if I can listen to the rest of this conversation. No, but I love that. But let's say somebody didn't want to train in the middle of the night. They have like a really busy day at work every day of the week or something. Let's say they don't have this time at 4 a.m. Are there other ways for guys to be more dominant in the bedroom? Huh?
Belt hoops.
Belt hoops.
Belt hoops. This is like my favorite thing.
Okay.
If you want to like, so we're talking about like not going into bondage or kinkiness, but you still want to have that level of domination. So what's great is most women, if they're wearing jeans or pants or whatever, they've got belt hoops on them. Belt hoops are essentially strapped to their entire waist by way of the pants that they're
Unless
wearing.
you shop at Forever 21 like I do, that will come off in an instant because it's so shitty.
So you might have to be a bit careful on those lines. But what you can do is if you just hook a finger on the inside of someone's belt loop, and then as you're making out with them, pull them towards you sharply, she'll be moved towards you via her entire pelvic region.
Yes,
and that should be enough to show that you've got some dominance during a makeout, which will get her to start being wet. And then what you've got to do is remember that dominance can be pretty much interspliced with leading. So, you just lead her to the bedroom. And that would be a very simple way of being dominant. Just being like, we're making out, bam, pulling you by your belt hoop. Oh my God, he's so great. I want you to take you to the bedroom. Sex.
Yeah. Dominant doesn't mean like being aggressive and punching a woman in the face and like whipping her in the bedroom.
It means
taking lead.
There was a really funny news story recently, which I saw, I think maybe on the internet, but maybe on the actual news. I don't know. But this woman met someone on Craigslist. This was probably like 2 weeks ago I saw this. She met someone on Craigslist, and he was going to stage like a rape of her. It was like a fantasy, and it was while her husband wasn't home because she was married, and her husband didn't know about this. And so anyway, he came to like quote unquote rape her, and her husband came home and was like, and so she just went along with the fact that she's like, oh my God, I am being raped.
Oh my God.
And so they called the cops and so she said
killed him.
He was raping her, and so the guy basically had to like show his email chain of like, no, she wanted me to do this.
Wow.
But she just went along with it because the husband came in and she was like, help me. Yeah.
Oh my God, her husband could have killed that guy.
Yeah.
That's horrible.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully, Skylar, you won't follow that advice, but follow the advice that Adam gave before about the belt buckle.
Yeah, I like that.
loops.
Yeah.
And then having sexomnia. I think that's fantastic. All right, next question, and then we're going to be done. Dear Ask Women Ladies, I love the show and have been trying to catch up on the latest episode.
Hurry up.
On 18 number now. God, you're so far behind. But thank you so much for supporting us and listening, because I think that's awesome. Y'all been a blast to listen to when my 8-hour weekend shift is going slow.
We get a lot of
I know, I like it.
Questions.
I try and use what knowledge you give me when and where I can. I have a couple of questions. How can I... this is interesting because we were talking about it before. How can I break out of my shell and go have fun at the places around me to meet women?
You got the perfect guy to answer that, and I think you pretty much did.
You did in the first half of the episode, but let's give a little recap of how he can do this.
Yeah, I mean, I think for this guy, if he's got like places around him, I think one of the key things for people that are introverts is they kind of like routines, like doing the same thing over and over again. So I think for those kind of people, it's more important to meet locals. Yeah. And so I would find like the places you want to go to around you and create a little routine. I'm going to go here for half an hour,
like
here
the
for an
Starbucks
hour.
that you mentioned before.
Bingo, yeah, exactly. And so you just have that routine. I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here, I'm going to go here. At each place, I'm going to meet one person, and I'm going to make sure that I give that person one compliment. I find out one thing that they would love to do in their life, and I try and ask for their contact details via Facebook or what have you. And that's it. And then you attempt to do those simple things, and then do that over and over again. You do it for for X amount of days, and you should be totally fine.
And it sounds natural. It's nothing like crowbarred in.
I agree, but it helps you break out of your shell because you realize, okay, it's not so bad to just talk to these people. I'm offering something. Again, this thing on my mouth. Something to them. They're providing me with something, and we're both learning, which I think is great. One other question he had. He said, how should I tell someone I'm into about the fact that I go through a cycle of depression most of the year, even though I hide it very well?
You got the perfect girl here to answer this question.
I know, seriously. How do you tell somebody that? Because that's actually, I get that a lot. There's a lot of guys that I work with who do have who do have depression, and it's not something to laugh about. It's like a real thing. So how?
Well, I suffer with depression, and I know for me it's been a huge damper for my boyfriend because it's like difficult because I don't want to say like you enjoy being depressed, but when you're in those feelings, you want to wallow as much as you can. So I think the best way to tell someone is when you're feeling better and you're feeling in a more positive frame of mind. Because if you approach someone when you are feeling really depressed, you're going to make your problem sound 10 times worse than it actually is. So, I mean, and I know depression can be very severe, but again, when you're out of kind of feeling super down. So I would say you're having a good day, things are going well. Ruin it by bringing up depression is what I'm saying. No, just basically say, listen, this is something that I deal with, and I have a good feeling. I have a feeling that I'm going to conquer it at some point, but I just want to let you know that this is something that happens.
Well, this is a part of me.
It's a part of me, and it's a huge part of me, and in any way don't feel that you have to help me solve it, but just be there with me along the way. And I'm feeling good today, so it'll be horrible tomorrow, just a heads up.
Right.
I don't know. I don't really help people like you guys do, so I don't really know how to say it.
Well, but it's interesting
concisely.
because whenever, we go on Loveline a lot, and I've heard Drew say this multiple times to people who call in and say, okay, my boyfriend suffers from depression, blah, blah, and he'll always interrupt them. If you're talking about depression or an addiction, whatever it is, he said there's 3 people in your relationship. Because it is true. When you have,
depression's like the third crazy person.
Yeah, there is a third person. It's a third person that sadly overpowers the other person in the relationship, or actually both people in the relationship. So it is difficult to deal with. So I think that this is a really good question to ask, because a lot of people either suffer from depression or mild cases of it or some other psychological disorder. So I would love to hear what Adam has to say about this.
Well, I actually, I've dated a lot of girls that have had depression, and I've had it before in the past, in a previous lifetime. One of the things I said, I love what you said, actually. I think there's nothing better than just being 100% honest and true. If I would add something to it, I wouldn't take anything away. I would add something that I feel a lot of people don't do, which is they don't empower their partners enough. And I would actually empower them. Like, one thing you did say is, like, don't feel you have to do anything. But I think what's missing off the back of that is, but here's some things you can do.
Yeah.
And then you say to them, the things I would love you to do when I'm feeling depressed are this, this, this. I would love it if you did this.
Right.
And so, for example, one of my girlfriends at the moment, she's went through a little depressive thing recently, and we had a conversation.
Like your actual girlfriend, or one of your girls that are friends?
No, my actual. I have 2 girlfriends. So
what?
One of my girlfriends, yeah. So
They're wearing white, of course he has 2.
Yeah.
Yes, they're both like in your pockets right now or something.
Yeah,
I feel like they're like hiding in there.
They're home at the moment. But yes, so
together?
Yeah. So
this is bizarre.
Yeah, I have 2 girlfriends.
Move on.
So,
talk about this right now.
So one of my girlfriends, she goes through depressive cycles every so often.
Because she knows her boyfriend has another girlfriend.
Wait, really? No. So yeah, she's had it her entire life, and so she goes through these cycles. And I'm a very proactive person. When somebody gives me a problem, I want to solve it. And one of the conversations we had to have, and I had to get it out of her because she didn't know how to word these things, was that when she feels depressed, she wants to tell me all the bad things that are happening, but she doesn't want me to fix them.
That's literally the exact same conversation I've had with my boyfriend.
Yeah.
Because I just want to tell him. I want to wallow in it. And that's why I said that. And not wallow, because wallow makes it feel like you kind of enjoy it. But in the moment, I just want to throw everything out of what's inside. And I want him to just understand it. Yeah. And every single time I've tried to do that, he's tried to solve it. And he talks to me like a business partner, and we're making a plan. And it's like, no, that's not anything I want. And then I get really upset. And I'm like, you don't understand. Like, you never have felt this way. You will never understand. And that's why you're making a plan right now. Because it's not what I want.
That's exactly it. And it's something that I had to come to terms with my girlfriend, because I always wanted to fix things. And we've been together for a while now, and I have learned. And even yesterday, like, actually, she had a very small bout of it, something that happened. And I was trying to fix it for her, and she got really upset at me. And I was like, I apologized. I was like, you know what? I'm sorry. And she's like, wow, why are you apologizing? I was like, I shouldn't have tried to fix it. And she's like, no. And I was like, no, I shouldn't have. I know better than that. I was like, I just got caught up in the moment. My girlfriend was sad, and I wanted to fix it. And I was like, and I got it wrong, because fixing it right now isn't about me going out and actioning. It's about me just listening and being there for you.
Please talk to my boyfriend.
So, yeah, for sure.
Still doesn't get it.
So that's a really good point. The point you're making is to provide instructions
for what to do.
At the right moment, though.
At the right moment. So not while even if you're in a fight and you don't have depression, you never want to give instructions while you're bickering and yelling at each other. You always want to be sitting on the couch, have a nice night.
They will go to waste.
Exactly. And then you're both in a calm space. You're not in defensive mode.
Yeah.
And then you can talk calmly and rationally with
There's
somebody.
actually a great study about why people can't hear during arguments. humans. It's because our blood rushes when we get that excitement, and because we have blood vessels in our ears, actually makes it really hard to process information because
you can't hear them?
You literally can't hear them. There's a lot of studies that have shown that
Really?
hearing is impaired during fighting.
I can hear.
I can't hear you.
I can hear.
But it doesn't process properly.
Really?
Guys, clearly can't hear me trying to tell you to wrap it up because we got to get out.
I didn't hear
Well,
you.
we're blind. We're
Obviously,
blind.
we're really heated right now. All right, well then let's wrap it up, and hopefully that answers your question. I
Art,
don't
thanks
know what
for
your
cutting
name
me
was.
off at depression, by
Yeah,
the way.
seriously,
That's
now
really
she's
insensitive.
depressed.
Don't want to hear about your depression.
That's
It makes
very
me sad.
Now
insensitive.
she's
It makes me
depressed. All
It
right.
brings me
Well,
down.
Good.
if you want to
Now I
ask,
feel better.
if you want to ask questions for Analyze This, even though we obviously do not ever get to them, but you should still
We got to a
continue
couple.
writing in questions. Write to Ask Women Podcast. I want to thank Adam Lyons for being on the
Thank
show.
you for having me.
And if you want to find out more information about him, go to winggirlmethod.com/AdamLY.
Is Lyons your real last name?
That's my real last
Wow.
name.
It's not like an AFC thing. This is like
Well,
not a
I'm
fake
not
name.
looking at it more like lions like in the jungle. I'm looking at it more like you're lying to me. Right?
that's
No, I'm just
good.
kidding.
Yeah,
No.
that would work.
I'm sure. I'm not even going to make a
It's a
comment.
good name.
But check out our new episodes of Ask Women Podcast every week on Thursday. Please go download new episodes and also subscribe so you don't have to manually download them. We want to thank our sponsors for keeping us on the air. And for anything that you want to buy in the world, go to Amazon and buy it, but use our link, winggirlmethod.com/Amazon. And we want to thank Kevin for being on the show, too.
Thank you, Kevin.
His new show with his girlfriend, Maria
smiling at me
Menounos,
right now.
is, I'm sorry, 10
It's
p.m.
every
on
Tuesday. Every Tuesday on Oxygen at 10 p.m.
Yes, what's it called?
Chasing Maria Menounos.
Perfect. So
Yes.
go
tonight.
check it
Or
out
no,
there.
not tonight. Tonight for me, but not you guys. Tuesdays.
For nobody. Don't listen to what you just said. But we will see you guys next week.